What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Edwina and this is Versicolor Closet, where we love all things colorful. I've always said that my channel is all about faith, fashion, and travel, but because of the pandemic, we haven't had too much travel content. But I know that whenever it's the end of the year, a lot of people makes it their New Year's resolution to travel more. And since I am a travel lover, I wanted to share some ideas and some tips. So if you have any travel questions, don't hesitate to ask them. But in today's video, we're going to focus on Dubai. I have spoken to a few people who have thought for some reason that it's like far-fetched to go to Dubai because they imagine it to be so pricey and so far and all of that. And we're gonna get into all of that in today's video because I want to encourage you to visit it because it's a beautiful place. I've been twice and I will definitely go again, and it's a great place to visit. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. The first thing I want you to know if you're planning on going to Dubai is that it is not as expensive as you think. I actually have a blog post on this topic, and it is one of my most read blog posts ever, actually. My blog post was titled, How I Was Able to Stay in Dubai for 7 nights for under $250. And that was not clickbait. We booked the trip in 2016. Yeah, that was 2016. And we decided to visit Dubai, and it was great. A few months prior to the trip, we got an email alert from Groupon that basically let us know that Emirates was having a sale. And since we had already decided that we were going and our hotels were already booked, we just needed to make a quick decision to purchase the tickets. Now, Emirates, as a lot of you know, it's kind of more of an upscale airline, but it's, again, not as expensive as people think. So we were able to purchase our tickets for somewhere around $700. I think it might have been $750 max. So that is not a bad price for a flight that is 13 hours long. So we are coming from New York City, and it took 13 hours to get there. It was a non-stop flight, and the food on that flight was amazing. We were served salmon and couscous, and the options were endless. And there were also like alcoholic beverages, if that's something that you're into. And I don't believe you had to pay extra for that. So that was really cool experience. And the flight is definitely more luxurious than your standard like JetBlue or Delta planes. And we were just in coach. For the people that flew business classes, they were actually on the second level of the plane, and they have their own different like lounge area that we never got to interact with those people. Like, they had their own entrance and exit to the plane, and it was a whole thing. So I think what people tend to be put off by is the fact that when they hear things like that, they think that everybody flies business class, but that is not the case. So someone who was on that second level probably paid like $5,000 or something for their flight, but we paid $700 and we got there at the same time. So yeah, it's definitely not as expensive as you think. When it comes to our hotel, we stayed at the Avenue Hotel, which was in Al Riga, and it was easily accessible. It was in a decent area. We didn't have to pay too much. So if you check out that blog post that I was referencing, I'll be sure to link it below. We actually ended up paying $240 per person. We had 5 different rooms. I even posted the receipt so that people know that I wasn't just making this stuff up. So it is not impossible to go to Dubai. You just have to do some planning, and I recommend doing your planning ahead of time. What we typically do is that we decide like a year in advance where is it that we're going to go. We do some research, and 6 months prior to flying, we actually start booking our airlines and our hotel. So altogether, that first trip to Dubai cost us about $1,000 because we paid $240 for the hotel for 7 nights, and then we paid about $700, $750 for the flight. So it's really not that impossible. You just have to do some planning, and you just have to do some budgeting ahead of time, and you can totally make it happen. The second thing that you should know before going to Dubai is that it's really hot. And when we say hot, we mean like 105 degrees hot, like every single day. So when we went, it was during the month of May. And as you would imagine, that's basically spring for us who are Westerners. So we would expect it to be like in the 70s and things like that, but in Dubai it's really hot because it's a place that is basically a desert. If you're not comfortable with heat, then that might be a turn off for you. But if you're going to be doing a whole lot of different activities, many of them might be indoors. Now, the one that was outdoors was when we did like a dune excursion in the desert. But again, if you're in a car that has AC, then it's not going to be that unbearable. I don't remember being too overly uncomfortable. I'm also from the Caribbean, so I prefer hotter temperatures than cooler ones. So it wasn't that big of a deal for me, but I know that some people just don't like being places that are too hot, and Dubai is definitely hot. We did an excursion where we had dinner in the desert in the evening and it drops down. So it was like 70 degrees. We were seated outdoors and it's pleasantly cool. So it does get really hot in the earlier parts of the day, but in the evening it definitely cools down. So just another thing to keep in mind if you're planning on going to Dubai. The third thing is that they do not play about being covered up, especially if you are intending on going to their mosque. So as you guys know, Dubai is a Muslim country, and when you are visiting their mosque, like we went to Abu Dhabi, for example, for one of their mosques, we had long dresses, but our shoulders were still exposed. They were not having that. But thankfully, they do have a system where you can actually go to like this office part, you give your ID and give you like a robe and you're able to wrap your head and everything. So they do not play about that. If you are not willing to cover yourself up and remove your shoes before entering the mosque, you will not be able to go in. Now, when it comes to different people's cultures, you kind of have to go by the rules, because even if it's not something that you believe or that you practice, you are in their space. So it is very necessary to respect their culture because you don't want to be in trouble. But I think that's also one of the misconceptions when it comes to Dubai. Some people think that you can't wear shorts or something when you're over there. And I heard that a lot before we went, and it is not the case at all. Because it's so hot, you do want to wear loose fitting clothes and you do want to wear things that are comfortable and possibly short. You can do so, you just will not be able to enter a mosque with shorts and a tank top. It's just not happening. But at least to the mosque that I went to, they provided you with the covering. But if you're trying to like take pictures and be more stylish or whatever, then I would recommend getting your own like long robe or something, and something to cover your head, because it's necessary. The fourth thing you should pay attention to before traveling to Dubai is the time of year that you're going. My friends and I ended up going once around Ramadan, and it was quite an uncomfortable situation. So basically, Ramadan is their period of 30 days of fasting, and during that time you cannot be seen eating publicly. So imagine you being out and you're hungry, and restaurants, like even if you go there, you'll find like all the chairs flipped on top of the tables, because it is basically illegal to be seen eating publicly from sunrise to sundown. So it's kind of difficult to navigate it. At that time, we had a friend with us who was pregnant, and we literally had to go to the mall and beg one of the security guards to hide her in a corner somewhere so she could eat, because we did not want to spend all day out with her without her being able to eat. Now, the thing is, you can actually order takeout. You just can't be seen with the food publicly. So that time, which was the reason why it was such a big issue for us, is because we were actually on our way back from Thailand, and we had a 20-hour long layover in Dubai, so we didn't actually have a hotel. Now, something you should know about the Dubai airport, it's actually amazing, and it's huge, just like a whole country in and of itself. But they allowed us to take a shower in the airport, and then they also had an area where you could leave your bags. So I don't remember if we paid or how much we paid, but we basically were able to keep our bags there, and we took a train that left the airport and took us out to the city. So when we got to the mall and we needed to eat, we didn't have a hotel like to take the food back to. So that's what made this really inconvenient. But if you are traveling during Ramadan, just pay attention to that, so that if you're actually going to your hotel, then you would have a place to like take your food to eat. But if you're just in transit, then that's something to really be mindful of, because they will not allow you to sit in a restaurant. But the moment the sun sets, then everything is open again and you can eat out with no issues. So that's just a quick tip of something to keep in mind. They do have Ramadan around the month of May. It's just something to keep in mind when you're choosing your dates. It changes every year, like the date range changes consistently. So you just want to do your research before you start booking your trip. The last thing to keep in mind if you are traveling to Dubai is the fact that they have a whole lot of things to do. Dubai prides itself in being one of the places that have the largest of everything or the tallest of everything. So Dubai has, I believe, the largest attraction park in the world. They have the tallest building in the world called the Burj Khalifa. They have the deepest pool. If you guys follow Will Smith, you would have seen him taking a plunge in the deepest pool in the world. So they have a lot of these amazing attractions. And I think that falls into the reasons why people think that it's so expensive and nearly impossible to visit Dubai on a budget. And that is not the case at all. There's a lot of things to do. I remember mentioning Viator previously on my channel when I did some domestic traveling, but they are available in DR, they are available in Dubai. So just Google things to do in and insert whatever place, and Viator is usually one of the first places to come up. They give you a whole list of different attractions and things that you could do, and they also give you the price and you just book from there. They usually pick you up from your airport and things like that. So they make it really convenient. If you check the travel section of my website, or if you just search Dubai on versicolorcloset.com, you will see all of the things that I did during that trip. It was a 7-day trip and we did so much. We went to the souk, which is kind of like a flea market where you can buy all types of golds and things. We were under the impression that they were super affordable, but when we got there, it was like real gold. So of course they were like in the thousands of dollars. So we didn't get anything from there. But if you're looking for places to go, that's usually part of one of the tours that you would do. So that's interesting. We did the Burj Khalifa. So it's the tallest building in the world, like I mentioned before, and you can pay a fee to go to the highest part. And it is such an incredible view. It's absolutely beautiful. I definitely recommend doing that. We also did a camel ride where that was part of, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was part of one tour where we did the dunes in the desert and we did the camel rides, and there was dinner included in that. It was absolutely excellent. We had such a great time. And if my memory doesn't serve me well, then you guys can definitely catch up with all the details on my website. Again, I'll be sure to link some of those blog posts below. But another thing that I really loved over there was the butterfly garden. It's basically what it sounds like. There's a whole garden where they have butterflies from so many different areas in the world. It was just such a nice experience. They would come on your hands and stuff like that. And it was just amazing. Dubai was definitely one of the best places that I've ever visited, and I absolutely love it. So I don't want you guys to think that it's not possible to go there. Even if you're on a budget, it's a matter of planning accordingly, and you can definitely make it happen. There's a whole lot of things to do there, and you definitely will not regret it. So I recommend booking a trip to Dubai if you are planning on traveling in 2022. Now, one thing that I'm not including in this video are COVID regulations. As I previously mentioned, I traveled in 2016 when COVID wasn't a thing. So prior to traveling anywhere in the world, make sure you check what their vaccination requirements are, because some places require you to be vaccinated before you can travel. Others do not. So pay attention to that before booking so that you're not met with any surprises. I didn't actually look this up, so that's why I'm not providing any of that vaccination information here in this video, but I just wanted to let you guys know that Dubai is not this place that's so far that you can't go to. It's really not that bad. I did mention that the flight is 13 hours long from New York City, so depending on where you're coming from, it could be longer or shorter, but it's also not that bad to be in the plane for that long, especially if you pick a time that you can actually sleep in the plane. I know for some people, they have like anxiety of flying and things like that, and it's difficult to sleep. But for me, I tend to book these flights at like 11 p.m. where it would be the time that I would fall asleep anyway. So I get on the plane and I pass out before it even takes off. Thankfully, I can do that. But other than that, you can bring a book to read. You can just listen to music and watch a few movies, and before you know it, the time passes. So it's not that bad. I know it sounds really long. It's even worse if you're going to Thailand. When we were going to Thailand, we actually, like I mentioned, had a layover in Dubai and then had to fly for another 6 hours before we reached Bangkok. So If you don't like long flights, then there's a lot of places in this world you will not be able to go. So don't let the amount of time that it takes to get there stop you from flying. There are so many places on this beautiful planet that you should see. So I encourage you guys to do more traveling. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know. And I can definitely do one about Thailand or the Virgin Islands or Aruba, because there are quite a few places that I've been to. And I'm excited to travel to more places. I just hope that these COVID restrictions don't make it impossible. But thank you for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on another one. Bye, guys.